Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys had a great day. It's been windy here and a little bit chilly. I hate to even complain. It's been in the 40s, and I know some of you are going to laugh and say that's nothing compared to the temperatures that we've had. I know it's colder in your regions, but this time of year we really aren't that cold. But with the wind blowing, it's made a big difference. I was gonna take you guys outside and let the camera view behind me while I talk to you guys so that you can see the mamas and the new babies that were born. They're starting to arrive. I don't really know a for sure count of how many I've got so far, but they're really starting to be born now. And they're in the pasture between my house and Papa Texas' house, and but it was just too nasty today for to be able to video that, and so then I tried to go out into the farm truck, and my battery died on my camera, and so I've just challenged and challenged and challenged, but I am pushing through. It's been about a week since I've had a video, and some of you may not even have noticed it all, but I know a few of you have because you've asked me. And some of you have commented and knew what was going on, and if you're new to the channel, basically, you know, we got through the holiday fairly well. There was a few little tears shed, but I got through the holiday. But then after I made the last video, I just kind of felt like I needed to take a little bit of time just to kind of think and regroup and regather my thoughts and my feelings, and you know, I don't want to just constantly dwell. Every year, December 30th, you know, that was the day that Howie passed away. I don't want that to become something that every year I just shut down, because I should be celebrating life. He was a believer, I'm a believer, and I know where he's at, and he's doing good. I try to make it, I try to do this thought process of, you know, he was a tall guy and I'm not that tall. And in life, I usually was 2 or 3 steps behind him. So I try to think of it that way. He's already arrived at our destination and I'm still on the journey behind him, but I'm still moving forward. That got me to thinking about life and where we're at in all of this craziness. And I wanted to talk to you guys, spend a little bit of time discussing surviving and thriving in 2022. Now, survival, we all know what that means, and you know, in different degrees in each of our lives. You know, sometimes surviving is just simply living day to day to day to day. And other times people are really struggling to just survive. But we don't want to just be holding on, you know, by the skin of our teeth or by our nails, you know, or the rope or the knot at the end of the rope. We want to thrive. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't look up the definition to give you exactly what it meant to thrive. The dictionary says to prosper and flourish is what thriving means. And that is an important thing, to prosper and to flourish in a survival situation. But I want to press past that to the second definition that the dictionary gave, because that's what I really want to bring out tonight. The second definition says that thriving is to progress towards a goal despite or because of a circumstance. And despite our circumstances, or because of our circumstances, we want to press through to our goal. Now, Howie and I set goals every year rather than resolutions. We had goals that we wanted to accomplish for the coming year. And I still have Howie's notebook in the top of his dresser where he wrote down the goals that he had for the upcoming year, because he was constantly thinking about things. We never did anything on the spur of a moment as far as projects. He thought about them. He contemplated them. We talked them over. We discussed what we could afford and what we couldn't afford, what we had time to do, because sometimes the money's there, but the time's not available for you to begin a project and to complete it. So there was lots of things that went into our goal-making process. And so, you know, I still have those. Some of those goals weren't achieved because we got sick, and so those had to be pushed aside. And then, of course, after losing him, there was just some of those things that I just absolutely couldn't achieve on my own. And you know, even the kids, Blade and Cheyenne, having them here with me, they had a busy year. They had their precious little baby, and you know, Cheyenne had some difficulties towards the end of her pregnancy, and so they had to adapt and make some changes themselves with the way that their lives were. And so we had to figure out how to thrive, how to meet our goals in a changing and evolving situation. So let's spend a little bit of time tonight talking about how we can survive 2022 and the coming times, but also thrive in the situation. Now, we don't know the future. You know, there's lots of people that get paid a lot of money to sit in front of a camera on television and tell you every night on the news, this is what's coming, this is how it's going to be politically and economically and all of the other aspects of our lives. They get paid to do that. But really and truly, there's things that point to those things, but they really are not able to see the big picture, to see it 100%. They're really making a guess on a lot of things. Now, we know, as far as those of us that are believers, we know what the Bible tells us and we know the future that way, but really there's still a lot of things that we are not in control of. The Father is in control of that, and we are just to be here and spread the gospel and live our lives until it's time for us to go home. But we can thrive in the situation. Now, we know just in the last few days, this is January the 4th, so we're 4 years into 2022, and I don't think I know, and I know you don't know either, what's all going to happen in 2022. Looking back, I could have never guessed some of the things that have happened in this last year of our lives. Never would I have guessed those things. So I know that 2022 is the same way. I don't know the things that are coming down the pike. Now, we can see indicators and we see things that would make us think we really need to be stocking, or we need to be preparing, we need to be putting back because X, Y, and Z are happening. That's being wise about things, and we need to do that. But we need to set some goals for ourselves of what to do in this year. Now, you know, gone are the days where we say, well, this might happen in the future. We need to accept that it's here now. I mean, I would think that most of you would say we're living in some challenging times. It's not something that's way off. It's right here. And we have to thrive while we're in the midst of it. So we need to ask ourselves some questions on how do we do that? We know that we can't change the past. Those things have already happened, and we can't live in the past. We have to live here in the now and move forward. And so we have to find our way out. We have to find each day how we're going to live, how we're going to define thriving in the situation. We have to learn how to adapt. Now, on our farm, we set our goals, and I've heard a lot of you that have set your goals as well, and you have to be adaptable. When people set goals, there's two different ways that they set them. They set rigid goals, firm, by such and such date or this certain time, this is going to be done. And they are not flexible in that at all. But other people, when they set goals, they say, this is what we want to accomplish. We're going to work towards that. But they're willing that if all the pieces don't come together, money is a big one, or time or whatever, if those things don't come together, well, they're flexible enough to adjust and say, well, we really need this thing. I'll give you an example. We wanted to build a corral, loafing shed out in our corral, and that hasn't come to fruition yet. Things happen and we had to adjust. It doesn't mean that we don't have the goal of building that loafing shed still. We still have that goal. But we've been able to adjust and put it on down the list a little bit more. Still wanting it, still working towards it, but not letting everything else fall apart because we haven't been able to meet that. Same with other things, you know, a storm shelter, for a whole house generator. You plug in anything that you want. Maybe you want a freeze dryer. Maybe you are needing to build a new storage building. Maybe you're wanting to do something else on your farm or on your piece of property or wherever it is that you live. You have to be able to adapt and change so that you are working towards thriving. Remember the definition. You're progressing towards it. Progressing towards the goal despite the circumstances. So even though the money's not there or the time's not there, or perhaps your labor force is not there, you're still working towards it, you still desire it, you're still keeping that goal there. It's just you're not able to at that time, so you're adapting the change. Instead of being threatened by that, being threatened by not able to meet that goal at a specific time period, challenge yourself to find another way. I can't build this loafing shed right now, so what is something else that I can do? Is there something else that I can set up, that if I have a mama cow with a sick baby that needs extra attention, is there something else I can do? Is there another place that I can put her so I can have her isolated and have her protected? No, she's not in this wonderful new loafing shed that I have or that I want, but she is in an area and she's protected and she's okay. We need to make sure that we, that we challenge ourselves to find a new way. Maybe you go to the store and you have $50 and you have a family of 7 that you have to feed, and you're thinking, my cupboards are bare. How in the world am I going to feed this family of 7? Well, right off the bat, you're going to say, well, I cannot get steak, and I can't get this, and I can't get that. There's going to be a whole lot of things that you're going to say, I can't. But if you'll get yourself a menu, sit down and begin to think about the things that your family likes to eat, find some frugal meals. Find some ways to make things that your family likes. Maybe you need to eat some soups and some casseroles and some things that you can use a little bit of meat and make a big casserole to feed your whole family, rather than, a whole steak for each individual person, because I know steak is expensive. So we can change and adapt in our groceries, and we can change and adapt in our building and our construction and all the things. Maybe we have health goals. This virus has taken a hold on a whole lot of people that had comorbidities. Some of us need to lose some weight. I don't need you to tell me. I know I need to. There's other things, maybe some of us have sugar problems, or we have high blood pressure, we have this or that. And so one of our goals is to move towards thriving in our health. Well, there's things that we need to do for that, to survive and thrive. We don't know all the things that are coming down the pike, but we do know that we have warnings all the time that we need to do this, we need to do that. And we need to continue to work towards it. Now, here on my farm, I have goals for this year that I've spent a little bit of time thinking about. I started thinking about Howie's goal book. Right around this time, I started thinking about New Year's resolutions. And I thought, no, I want to keep on the path that Howie and I were on and do goals instead. And so I have come up with goals for my farm for this year. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to accomplish all of those goals. I'm working towards them. Also, I have to involve Blade and Cheyenne. They're part of my family, and they live here with me, and so those are things that I share with them, and I say I would like to do this, and I listen to them and their concerns. And sometimes Blade just kind of rolls his eyes at his crazy mama, and sometimes he thinks it's not a bad idea, and they have ideas and things that they like to do too. And so you know, working together, we achieve some of those goals. It's not always building projects for us. The garden this year is we always have a garden, but this year, one of my goals is to make sure that I get that ground cover laid down, because this garden plot last year was just taken over by morning glory, and it just got all over everything and bound it all up. And we're going to work smarter this year. That's a goal. Work smarter, and you know, get things in place that's working for me as I start to age and as others on the farm start to age, so that projects become achievable for us and doable for us, but not maybe as strenuous as they always have been. One of the other goals is, well, we all hear that fertilizer and those kind of things are going up higher in prices. So one of the things I'm considering bringing back to the farm, Howie and I had done away with it, but I'm thinking about bringing rabbits back. Number one, their manure is wonderful fertilizer, and number two, it's a small animal that I can take care of, and we're used to eating rabbit, and so that's an option for us. You know, we're considering, not just considering, we are going to be bringing pigs back in. Now, I know I've told you this several times, and that's one of my goals from last year that's still on the list, carry over to this year, to get the pens built, get our little piggies here, so that's another meat source, because we have chicken, turkey. If we bring the rabbits back in, we have beef, we have game, we have fish. Our meat sources will be pretty much taken care of if we bring the rabbits and the pigs back in too. We should be good with our meat sources, and so all of those things are working towards us being more self-reliant and not so much on outside sources. Those are goals that we have, to go beyond the circumstances that we're in and to meet our goals. Now, I hope that this is something that will encourage you guys to think about some goals that you want to reach here in 2022. You know, maybe it's something that you want to learn to do this year. There's lots of things that I want to learn to do. Cheyenne has got her soap making books that she got for Christmas, and that's something that she wants to do, and she wants to learn to can. And there's all kinds of things that I want to learn to do. I've got something I want to show you in a video or two coming up. We're going to be discussing how to take care of, I don't know what you call it, a varmint, because I don't really know what it is, but there's this big hole in my chicken yard that is a big long tunnel, and I don't know what kind of animals down there. But that's something that I need to learn about, is taking care of that kind of stuff. And so anyway, come along with us, and we'll be trying to meet our goals. We'll try to show you some of the things that we've got planned and some of the things that we're working towards. I'm sure you'll find something to laugh about, because I feel like I'm funny in a lot of ways. I don't mean to be. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good evening. You get a little chuckle out of this, a little bit of encouragement to thrive in the situation. Thrive instead of just surviving. Survival is important. We have to survive. But we don't want to just survive. We want to thrive in it. You know, it's not always going to be easy. You know, if something happened and we had to, all of us found ourselves off grid or whatever it was, that's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but it doesn't have to be horrible either. We can thrive. We can press towards our goals despite the circumstance. And you know how I know that? Because our people that come before us had to do the same thing. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, They had circumstances that they had to get over. My granny and her family, when she was a little girl, they had to go out to California and work, be migrant workers because of the Dust Bowls, and there wasn't anything for them, in Arkansas and Oklahoma. So they had to go out into places that they didn't know and work. So we can rise above the situation, the circumstance that we find ourselves in, and we can thrive in the coming year. Regardless of what's coming, regardless of the news telling us it's a dark winter or whatever, we can thrive. Number one in that thriving is knowing our Lord and Savior Jesus. Putting all of our trust in Him and letting Him leading us and guide us is how we make it through. Well, I love you guys. I went on, and I've missed spending time with you. Until next time, this is Josie. I really do love you. We're gone.